Hi guys, it is Dom here. Just had a wonderful opportunity to chat to Eric Egan from Attack Man about the new album Freak of Nature, some possible UK dates, and loads more. It's all in here. Thank you to Eric for taking the time out while he's on tour. And yeah, great interview, great band, so much fun. I hope you really enjoy Freak of Nature, and hopefully you enjoy this chat with Eric as well. All right, take it easy. Thanks for watching. This is lovely to sort of see how you're busy out there, on the road and stuff. And I really appreciate you, again, finding time to do this. Obviously,
Yeah, definitely.
you do have a record coming. Obviously, there's obviously tours as well. Obviously, we're in the UK, so for fans of the band, fans of Heart Attack Man, and obviously fans of yourself as well. In terms of Freak of Nature's message and what you're trying to do with, in terms of the vibe, I read there's a quote in the press release about being sort of figuring things out for yourself and a bit of, kind of changing things up as you grow older. Like, is that what you're going for with this new material? Kind of figuring some stuff out, trying to figure out who you are almost, if that's right?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like for me, kind of approaching this record, sort of the overarching narrative that I've been wanting to convey is just this sort of like general sort of coming of age type of story. Keep it it's like, kind of paint a picture with it, and but I'm very much so into with any sort of art form. Like, I'm personally a fan of kind of letting the fans do what they want with it. You know what I mean? Like, once it's out in the world, I'm a firm believer that it's like once you do your thing and it's out in the world, it's like not in your control anymore who finds it and what they do with it. And that is both for some people that they're uneasy with that. They get anxious and they're like, I'm very particular about who I want this to find and stuff. And it's like, but for me, I think it's very liberating that it's just kind of like you just let it do its thing, and whoever finds it. And for me, this record, on my end of things, like, I'm big on like not wanting to like preach to people, hey, this is the instruction booklet on how to listen to our music, because I'm like, find whatever meaning you want. I think that's part of the beauty of it all, is like you're able to find your own meaning in all of this. But for me personally, just from a creative standpoint, as someone involved in making it, a big thing for me has been kind of just like this sort of like general coming of age story for me, because I feel like as I've been getting into my, like, I just recently turned 30, so I'm 30. Kind of throws people for a loop a lot of times, because they think I'm like, I mean, until I started growing my facial hair out a little bit. I just shaved this morning, but like I've been growing out my facial hair more. Prior to that, it's like people consistently thought I was like 20 years old. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
But believe it or not, I'm 30. And this record has been kind of just summing up like the latter half of my 20s, kind of like coming of age into this sort of next chapter of my life. And really for me, it's been the sort of uh, prevailing sort of image for me with all of it has just been kind of like the dust settling, so to speak. It's kind of like, my late teens, early adulthood, like early 20s, was a complete nightmare for me. It was awful. It was a really chaotic and unstable, very just negative time for me, and just a lot of chaos and just so much dust getting kicked up everywhere, where it's just like so much messiness. And as I've gotten older, it's like I feel like I've become, with more life experience, it's like you become better equipped to kind of handle these things. As it's not even necessarily that it gets any easier. It's just you've been through stuff before, and it's like you're like, okay, like I'm a little bit more numb to this. However you want to look at it, it's like you can handle it better. And so for me, it's been a big part of it has been kind of that, like, coming to terms with who you are, your place in the world. And for me, on a personal level, that's been kind of accepting that it's like, okay, like I've felt like, kind of an outcast for like basically, from becoming a teenager till now. It's like I've always felt like, okay, I'm into stuff that isn't necessarily normal, and not like in a I'm not like the other guys, I'm so weird, but like, it's like kind of feeling on the out, like, okay, I'm into some some bizarre stuff. And like living a lifestyle, I guess, centered around music that isn't exactly super relatable to a lot of people. And but like, you know, in that you kind of find your people, and you find people that like are living, you know, similar experiences, going through similar things. It's like no two people have exactly parallel identical lives, so it's like, you know, you kind of find these little instances of overlap. But for me, it's been a lot about, you know, kind of finding my place in the world, finding my people, and you know, becoming more comfortable with that, and the dust kind of settling, and finally starting to feel some, you know, some stability and some true happiness, which I think is I wanted to, if there's any sort of instruction I want to, you know, if there's any sort of, if there was anything that I could control about the narrative of this album going out and how people connect with it, I hope that it's, you know, overall resoundingly positive.
Yeah, man, me too, me too. And I'm happy that you're happy. I'm happy you found some happiness too.
Thank you.
Like, it's good. I mean, that, you know, moves on nicely to my next question, because obviously you've done a lot since like the early days of the band, obviously 2014, around that time. You know, how you know, I know you can't speak for the other members of the band, but how, Eric, how would you say you've changed and developed? Obviously, you mentioned growing older. You've mentioned,
Yeah.
you know, again, you know, figuring some stuff out there. But how would you say you've changed and developed through the music you've created with Heart Attack Man from the very beginnings until now? What have you learned about yourself?
I've learned a lot about myself, and you know, I can't, like you said, I can't speak entirely for Adam and Ty's experiences, but like just from what I've seen, what we've talked about, I mean, we're like very open with each other. We're like brothers, you know what I mean? So it's like we have had some very deep heart to heart conversations just about, you know, our lives and how they've changed. I mean, how everything we've done with the band, it's like changed everything for the better. But we've all undergone a lot of a lot of um, positive growth, and so I mean, you know, it's like we've all kind of like taken a step back and like really looked at, you know, like things that changes, substantial changes that we've undergone in, you know, since then. It's all been overall very, very positive, and it's like so I mean, we've all grown and matured a lot on a personal level, but then also musically, it's like I feel like we've just like, it's all been very natural, but each step of the way for us has been like a pretty gradual increase. Like each step of the way we gain momentum, and we keep it going and keep building on what we have. But it's like I feel like over the course of, you know, the better part of this decade, it's like we've undergone over, if you look at where we're at now versus where we are when we first started, there's a big difference, which is a good thing. You know, it's like I want there to be growth and noticeable changes to where it's like, okay, like we've undergone a lot of positive development and incorporated all kinds of influences over the years and really refined what makes us us. And like the other night, I actually listened to our, like the first EP of ours, Acid Rain. I listened to that for the first time in like 6 years, honestly. Like I haven't actually sat down and listened to those songs in so long. We've played them every now and then, but it's like I haven't listened to the recorded versions in forever. And I did the other night, and I was like, damn, this is pretty wild. Like it was a trip, because I mean, listening to it, I was like, I didn't remember all the words. Listening to it, listening to me sing, I'm like, that doesn't even like sound like me anymore. It's crazy, like, you know. So it's like, it's cool. And like just noticing things that have stayed the same, where I'm like, okay, I still do these things like with songwriting and stuff, but then there's like things that have changed. I'm like, oh damn, I haven't done that in a while. You know, it was cool. It's cool to be able to see that growth in front of you, and to hear it, and to like really notice that thing and notice all those things. And we've definitely undergone a lot of growth, both musically and just on a personal level. You know, we've all really kind of settled into this, and we're like, you know, we're definitely this is, you know, we've centered our lives around this for a reason. We're still going strong, and still about it. So I mean, you know, I feel like with me, Adam and Ty, it's like we've all grown so much, and really kind of grown into this whole thing. So
yeah, man, it's awesome to see that enthusiasm for it obviously hasn't dwindled. You haven't become jaded with it at all. You're still enjoying it. the tunes are mint. You
Absolutely.
know?
I feel like we're just getting started now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I feel like everything now, it's like we're like 10 years 10 years deep into our career, and it's like I feel like now I'm like, okay, now things are like just starting to, I mean, it's all been very fun. It's all been, there've been all these moments where like, okay, things are really starting to get interesting now, but now it's like that next bump up to where we're like really feeling like, okay, this is this is getting even more exciting, and it just feels like this new checkpoint where we're like, okay, now it's really getting started. I don't know. It's like and that's a good feeling for me. I'm like, you know, I want to keep feeling creatively hungry each step of the way, and like I don't want to be satisfied. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want there to be a longing for doing doing something more, doing something better, doing, you know, it's like not in like a way where I'm like, okay, I'll never be good enough, but like always keeping that creative drive very much so alive, you know, because I feel like a lot of bands and artists get very content. They're like, okay, cool, I know how to do my thing, and then they just make a hard plateau, and you know, whatever. If you're having fun and it works, cool. But like I particularly just want to consistently stay hungry and stay creatively driven.
Yeah, man. I think that comes across. I know in the PR it said this was about sort of a new start for you guys. So and obviously you mentioned obviously you know the coming of age sort of vibe, but in terms of the new start, the fresh, you know, again with this record coming, what is it that you want to achieve? Have you come up with not like a 5-year plan or anything like that, but have you come up with a plan of what you want the future of the band to be, or is that very much up in the air, very much up to, I guess, you know, what the people think?
I think it's all kind of up in the air. Like I couldn't say, you know, like you said, I don't have like a 5-year plan mapped out or
Yeah.
anything. I feel like a lot of the beauty of this journey for us is that we're all kind of flying by the seat of our pants and figuring it out as we go. And that keeps it exciting for me and for all of us, and keeps it full of, you know, surprises. And it's like, okay, you know, we've never set our expectations too high. It's good to have expectations, and it's good to manifest positive energy into the world, yada, yada, yada. But like at the end of the day, you know, I'm like, we keep it pretty open. We're like, okay, cool. What, you know, let's see how this goes. Whatever happens, happens. Like, and I think it's resulted in us just consistently year after year, just being stoked and happy with what we're doing. We're like, cool, this is fun. This is still feeling very alive to us. Yeah, I don't know. I guess really just kind of like, if I could point to something that would be somewhat of a or like a clear cut sort of goal, I guess, if you will. I mean, really for us, it's just kind of about growing into that next level up for us, to where we're like, okay, we want to, like, you know, if we're going to be touring, like we did our first headlining tour last year, and it really opened our eyes. We're like, damn, headlining is sick. Like,
Yeah.
headlining is awesome. Like, I love it. And it's cool to be able to just be able to be the band and set the tone and take out who you want to take out and all that, and just like create, you know, just the best experience for the fans and everything. Just like have a good time. Headlining's dope. I want to headline as much as possible, and like really, I guess kind of like the next goal is to be like, okay, we're like a headlining level band, just keep growing it. But also, you know, okay, if doing a support tour, it's like we want to, you know, want to be as high up on the bill as possible. You know what I mean? It's like that's the dream, right? You know, you want to be able to like go about this whole thing on your own terms, and like be the main attraction and all that. And
100%.
you know, if we're going to be doing a support tour, never would we ever say, you know, we're too good for that. But it's like we want it to be like, okay, like, you know, we're actually bringing something to the table here. Let's like, we just want to keep doing this bigger and better than the year before. It's like just keep it growing and
Yeah.
keep on trucking with it. So I guess
man.
that would just be the goal, is to just be like, okay, we're like that level band now, to where it's like it's been growing enough to where it's like really just like kind of settling into that upper level.
Yeah, dude, 100%. And I've got 3 more questions now. And you talk about, obviously, again, you know, taking it to that next level. One of the things I've noticed over the recent years is obviously you've gone from sort of, you know, pop punk, but you've also put in elements of hardcore and stuff. And I wonder, sonically, musically, you know, how does Freak of Nature push you? Again, another question where you can't speak for the whole of the band, but like,
yeah.
How does it push you in new ways as a musician, as an artist? You know, how
Oh
is
yeah,
this
for sure.
push you?
I feel like you could talk to any one of us, and we all have a different look on it. You know, I mean, I think that's the beauty of our band, is that it's like, I mean, same with any creative entity. It's like it's made up of, you know, individuals. It's not like we're just, you know, some monolith, like just one homogenous, like I am the spokesman and this is how we all feel and we experience it the same way. It's like, no, we all, I feel like we all have a different outlook on how, uh a different outlook on answering that question. But I feel like for me personally, I feel like, you know, it's like, yeah, we all listen to so much stuff and take influences from so many different places. And with our last EP, Thoughts and Prayers, it was definitely, you know, kind of on the harder edge. Like, you know, we never want we wanted to like dabble in, you know, in implementing more heavy influences and stuff, but never would I ever say like, oh, we're a hardcore band. You know what I mean? It's like we're not a hardcore band. I feel like there are a lot of bands that are like, oh, we made something that sounds like hardcore music or something a little more aggressive. It's like, but you know, you're not a hardcore band. It's like I grew up in the hardcore scene. It's like I feel like that's not something that you can just kind of like claim and just be like, oh, we're a hardcore band now. It's like, you know, for me on a personal level, you know, I'm like that is where my foundation is and where I grew up and kind of like cut my teeth and everything. But it's like I started Heart Attack Man originally because I was so burnt out on the hardcore scene, and I was like, I need to like take a healthy step away from this and do something different for myself creatively, and like, you know, do something with new people, new sound, all that. So for me it was a little bit of a departure from that. Yeah, but it's like for me it was a little bit of a departure from that. So like never would I claim like, oh, like Heart Attack Man, we're a hardcore band now, because it's like it didn't start as that. And to me it's like, you know, yeah, it kind of came full circle and implemented those influences into Heart Attack Man. But like, yeah, I think there were a lot of our fans are like, oh, like the Freak of Nature, predicting that's going to go full hardcore. I'm like, nah, like
Right.
we don't. That's the other thing though, is we don't want it to be like you can predict where we're going to go. It's going to be carefully plotted out. Like, oh, I see the writing on the wall. Here's where you're going. It's like, nah, we're going. We just consistently want to be like subverting expectations and like you know, not have it be like cookie cutter, like easily predictable. So I would say for me with this record, really it's just like the biggest level up for us has just been like uh collaborating with other people on the songwriting end of things, and then also just like really pushing this record to sound the best it ever has. Because I feel like where we've been at before this, like I think what we've all of our recordings, like I feel like for where we were at was exactly everything's been exactly how we want it to sound. But like kind of like assessing these songs, I'm like, okay, I really want to approach this on a production level a bit differently and do something we haven't done before and have it be a lot more cleaner and have it pop a lot more. And like with the vocals, like really, you know, produce it in a way like with the on the mixing end of things, Zach Tuck, who mixed and mastered it, like he did a great job. But like he and I were like going to battle a little bit in, you know, in the back and forth. I was like,
Right.
vocals up, vocals up, vocals up. I was like, dude, I want this to hit like a pop record. You know what I mean? And it's like, he's like, I don't know, man. Like, I think that it might overpower. I was like, please just humor me and try it out. And then you do. He's like, oh, this, I see what you mean. I think this sounds dope. But you know, I just want to be mindful of, like, I don't want to like bury anything. I'm like, totally. But like, I think for there's certain parts where I'm like, I want this to pop a little bit more. And it's like, I think kind of implementing those outside influences and these new influences and just approaching the mix, the master, all that a little bit differently than we have in the past. That's been the biggest part of it for me in like to kind of answer your question, like that's been the biggest part, the biggest sort of discernible difference. This step of the way is just kind of like doing what we do, but like, you know, continuing to incorporate some new influences, but also just like approaching it overall differently and try it out, see how it goes. And we're very, very happy with the results.
Nice one, man. Nice one. It's about subverting expectations, I think, by the sounds of it. It's like subverting those expectations of what people expect from you as a band. Before we do the plugging bit to wind up, I have a deeper question to finish up with. Obviously you've achieved a lot of, you know, success streaming wise, and you've been able to do a bunch of we've done the headline tours now, and you're at that level. So I wanted to ask you about your definition of success, Eric, and how has that changed since, again, the early days of your career in the hardcore scene to now making, you know, effectively pop, alternative pop, whatever you want to call it, where you have those influences. What does success mean to you as a person and as an artist? And are they two different things?
That's a really good question. I feel like that could, that everyone's definition of success is obviously different. And for me, on a personal level, it's kind of hard to say. I don't have like, I don't think there's any like easily quantifiable answer to be like, this is what success is, because it's different for everyone. But I think for me, the biggest marker of success really ultimately is just personal fulfillment and just on a personal level feeling I'm happy with what I'm doing. I like what I'm doing, and I am feeling motivated to continue to do better, like to do what I'm doing the best I can, but also to be pushing myself. Like for me, success is pushing myself creatively and then meeting that mark to where
Mm.
it's like, okay, setting a goal for myself to where I'm like, do it a little bit differently, but then crush it, So like for me, success ultimately is just like being able like this whole time that we've since we recorded the album between then and now when we've been releasing the songs, when I've been listening to it, I'm like, if this never came out, I'd still feel accomplished because I'm like this
Yeah.
like I'm like we made a record that I love listening to, you know what I mean? So for me, that's a success. Like
Yeah, man.
if we put it out and no one listened to it or no one gave a shit about it, like whatever, I'm like at the end of the day, for me, on a personal level, I'm very creatively fulfilled by this. Like I feel like in terms of albums, like our last full album was Fake Blood, and I
Mm.
felt very very accomplished after that. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to like one up myself on this, and we're gonna have to like really bring it. So for
Mm.
me, I was like, it's gonna take a lot to like kind of get over that hurdle of like, okay, can we like level up and like can we do that again but better? And with
Mm.
this record, I really really truly do think that I was like, damn, all right, we did it. And like I feel awesome, and it just feels great to be sitting on this and just to be so excited about it. And like
Yeah.
nothing else matters to me. I mean, like I hope that people connect with it, but ultimately at the end of the day, for me, I'm happy and I feel creatively accomplished with this. We all do. And it's like for us, I feel like I said, I can't, speak for Adam and Ty's definition of what success entails, but I feel like, we're all cut from the same cloth, and we have a very similar outlook most of the time. So I could say, we're cut from a very similar cloth, and that when it comes to something like that, like our definitions of success, I would say that it's probably more similar than not. Like I would be surprised if you were interviewing Ty and you're like, what's your definition of success? And he's like, I won't feel successful until I make $10 million. I would be surprised.
Yeah.
Uh, but I would say that, really just for us, it's like just that feeling of just feeling creatively fulfilled, feeling like if feeling like you have we've carved out our spot in
Mm.
the world and kind of the world of music in our lane and stuff. It's like we have our spot. We have our spot. Not even like our spot at the table. Just like we've found our people and we've found our own lane. And it's like that's success to me is just feeling like okay, we've made it and we like have found a spot where we belong and this is fun and fulfilling and it's all still exciting. The day it
Yeah,
stops
man.
being exciting, the day it stops being fun, we will break up.
Well,
So because
yeah.
there's plenty of people it's so like it's so easy and it's so tempting for to just phone it in. It's like if you reach a point you're like, all right, well, this pays the bills, this is fine, um so be it. No shade, but like personally for me, I'm like, I don't like this is not going on tour however many months out of the year is not an easy lifestyle. And it's not like, I don't know, for me, I'm like, if I don't like doing this, why the fuck would I do it? You know what I mean? Like, why would I
Yeah.
put myself through this? So like
Yeah.
when it stops, if hopefully it never does. Hopefully it never stops being fun, never stops being fulfilling. But like the day it does, if it ever does, then we will stop.
Okay.
We'll break up then and there. And we've agreed to that. We've talked about that. We're like, when this stops being fun, it's over.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's good news though. It's still fun. We're feeling great and we're
Yeah.
feeling motivated. So I would say that in a nutshell, in a very roundabout kind of long-winded way of me saying it, I would say that's my definition of success is not feeling like it's time to throw in the towel.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I appreciate your enthusiasm, dude. I'm enthusiastic about it for you, and I hope it goes. I hope it's everything you want it to be. I hope those
Hell
shows are packed
yeah.
out and you have a good time. Before we finish,
Absolutely. Thank you.
we check. This is where we check if I've done my job properly, Eric. Is there anything you feel like I've missed? Anything you want to plug before we finish up today?
Really just I would say, well, I don't know exactly when this interview is coming out, but by the time it does, we will have announced we're doing a UK tour around 2000 Trees Festival, which we're playing. So
Yeah,
we're gonna play
yeah.
that. We're gonna have like a proper UK run around that we are announcing. So by the time that this is out, that will have been announced. So uh, really just want to plug that and just keep this thing going, and let's make this a good time.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Eric, thank you for making the time.
Of
Thanks for
course.
spending time with me, man. I'm looking forward to catching
Yeah,
you on the UK
yeah,
shows, man.
thank you for having me.
Of course, man. All right. You take care. Have a good show tonight and good luck on the tour. Okay.
You as well. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.